Welcome to the GTP. My name is Scott and this is our manga haul for the month of December of over 50 volumes. I know. I said I was going to lower down, but hey, I think we had over 80 last time, so that's good. It went lower. I was really hoping I'd be more around the 20 to 30 range, but unfortunately that did not happen, but fortunately maybe it did. In this video, I have read almost all of this manga, so my goal is, as we go through each series, is to let you know what I thought of it, of the ones I did read, which is the most of them, as well as maybe this is something for you or someone that you want to recommend to somebody else. I'll try to go as fast as I can through everything and try to speed it on up. If you have any questions on a specific series, go ahead and feel free to leave a comment below. And speaking of comments below, I'd love to know, what did you pick up or read this past month? So with that said, let's go ahead and get started with our favorite, of course, which is starting off with ongoing or missing titles that I received from Viz Media. And the first thing that we picked up is Call of the Night Volume 18. There's 20 total in the series. It's complete if you want to read it on the app. I've been only reading it physically, and I absolutely love the series. It's a great, almost slice of life, has a little bit of fighting in it, vampire series. And you know, I did a review on that series, so because of that, I will not explain anymore. And speaking of, next is Hulk Volume 12. Absolutely love the conclusion of this. It's nice and thick, as you can see. Compared to our standard manga here, it's almost like 2, even though it's 1, which is really cool. Hulk is 12 volumes total. It's absolutely fantastic. You can put all the covers together next to each other. That gives this beautiful collage. I thoroughly enjoyed the story and how it wrapped up. The story starts off with the Demon King is defeated, and they need a new person to lead the demon armies. And it just so happens that a human signs up to go ahead and become the new Demon King. And you know, the demons aren't too happy with that, even though he's fantastic at everything he does. So really good series, a good twist at the end I did not see coming, and I thought they wrapped up the story just beautifully. I felt it had a good conclusion. So for 12 volumes, if you're looking for a good series, I would definitely recommend Hulk. Moving on, what else did we get? I picked up Wanted. So this is One Piece. This is all the short stories that Oda did before One Piece came out. And so this is really cool to see a collection of short stories, even one that he did when he was still in high school and then in college, and then when he was helping as an editor assistant before he started his own series, One Piece. So I had a lot of fun with this. It's just 1 volume total, so it gave me a lot of nostalgia just to see how things came to be, and I was just amazed. Even seeing his first short story, that one shot he made just in high school alone, just blew me away. I don't think I could ever come up with that something as an adult. So I really enjoyed this. If you're a fan of One Piece, I think this is one you're going to be picking up. Moving on. Blue Box Volume 13. Absolutely love this series. I did a video talking about how Blue Box handles rejection so well. This has phenomenal artwork. It's not quite a romance series. It's not quite a sports series, but they mix that together and it's just so good. Okay, what else did we pick up? I picked up Yakuza Family Volume 14. This was a better volume than Volume 13. Because we spent more time on the main story, but it only focused mostly on the main story at the very end of this volume, which was a little annoying. So I've shared before with this, I think there's 28 volumes total, so we still have a ways to go on this series, but I enjoy when we focus on the main story. But sometimes they like to go into these little side stories of just how the family dynamics of the spy series goes out. There is comedy elements, so I was laughing, but when it focuses on not doing those side stories and just the main chunk of story itself, it is so incredible. It's really good. I'm surprised more people aren't reading this. Moving on. We got the Gakuraki. I'm butchering this. I apologize, Volume 3. Now, I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep reading this series. I usually do a 5-volume rule, but after the second volume, I was a little bored. This third volume was really good. They set up, all of a sudden there was good pacing, and they set up some really good villains in here that I was just blown away. And one thing I do appreciate about the series, it does have really good artwork. I'm trying to see if I can find here. It's definitely not for kids. It's a bit grotesque, but how they created this just form of villains all together, sitting at this round table, eating and discussing. I really thought this was good. And I gotta say, the artwork also is incredible. So, you know, there's only 3 volumes out. I would say by the 3rd volume, you'll know if this is right for you. I'm really good at this agency where they're following these people. They're supposed to die, but instead of dying, they come back and they're going out and they're eating humans. So kind of like a zombie, but not more like a demon. and you have these two that are hunting it. One person who's half demon, half human, of course, which is, you know, stereotypical in a lot of manga. So he has these abilities that he can go and fight them. I actually really enjoyed this. It already looking like they're doing training. So I gotta say, for the pacing, I was really impressed with how far we came along just with this volume. Moving on to probably one of my favorite ongoing series. I did not like the first volume, but it just continues to get better and better, and still continues better, and also has incredible artwork as well, and that is Dan to Dan. This is volume 10. Now, I was interesting, if you've not checked out Dan to Dan yet, I highly recommend it. I know the anime did extremely well, and a lot of the volumes were actually sold out, but luckily Viz anticipated that, and some of them have already been reprinted. So this has to do with this idea that one person believes in ghosts, the other person believes in aliens, and when they go to disprove each other wrong, you find out that both exist. There is so much comedy in this. There's really good action sequences, and it's fun seeing just a little bit of, I want to say romance, but not romance with the high school antics together. They're just definitely not for kids. It's parental discretion advice here, but I thoroughly enjoy this. I'm surprised with how much I'm enjoying this series. Hey, one of my other favorite ongoing series of all time right now, and this will probably be in my, I believe in my top 20 best manga of all time, and this is only with 9 volumes, and that is Akane Banashi. This has to do with the ancient art of Rakugo, which is a Japanese storytelling, and you're following this girl as she is trying to achieve her dream that her father was not able to. Her father was never able to achieve his dream, getting to the highest position in storytelling, and she wants to be able to take her dad's style and show that it was good. There's many times just feeler moments where I'm just crying, have a father with 2 daughters. I just, oh, so good. I'm really enjoying the story, and I love hearing these little folklores and these stories going on. Some that I've never heard of before, and I'm just some laugh out loud moments. I just don't want to go on a rant just sharing you a bunch of stories, but I've really enjoyed this. This is a great series. There's nothing quite like it out right now. You've got to check this one out. Moving on, next I picked up is Blue Exorcist Volume 30. It is a series that I need to go ahead and read. I am not caught up on, so I do apologize. We did not read this one, but I know this is one of the backlog. It takes a while for each volume to come out. They were hard to find for a long time, so that's why I ended up ordering the whole series, and eventually they got reprinted. So it's one I have not read yet. Shame on me. And another one, shame on me, is Hayate the Combat Butler Volume 44. This is from the same author that gave us Fly Me to the Moon. This is their first series. I believe there's 52 volumes total in the series, and it looks like Viz is only giving us 1 or 2 a year right now, maybe even up to 3 of this series. So I have the whole series. I'm just collecting it. I got it because I wanted to go ahead and pick it up before Viz Media increased their prices, and then I'm seeing that, oh, some of these volumes are getting harder to find. So if this is a series that has been on your radar, I would actually probably get it now while most of the volumes are still cheap, and then build a void before they do the price increase. And I don't know if this is a series that they would ever even reprint anyways, but you know, I could be wrong. I don't know anyone else collecting Hayate the Combat Butler, but if you are, let me know. All right, next I picked up is JoJo Bizarre Adventures Shining D Diamond's Demonic Heartbreak. This, I believe there's only 2 volumes total in this for this lovely story here. I just wanted to pick it up because we have all the other JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I'm gonna wait till I get the second volume and just read the whole thing through, and then I'll be able to give you more of my thoughts on it. Let's go ahead. Let's see what else we picked up here from Viz Media. Mashup Volume 18. This is the last of the series. It's not quite Harry Potter. It's not quite One Punch Man, but it's a meshing of the two. So if you're looking for magic and fighting, but comedy aspects, this might be the series for you. I've not read this yet. Now, because I have this, I want to read the whole thing and give you a review video of what I think of Mashup, but we are now complete, which is phenomenal to have a series to know I'm not getting any more volumes in because we're trying to lower that threshold. Moving on. Speaking of one that's almost complete, Twin Star Exorcist Volume 32. I have not read this series. Volume 4 was almost impossible to find for a very long time, and they finally reprinted Volume 4, or it might have been Volume 2. So finally, because of that, I can go ahead and now read this series. There's 35 volumes total. It's complete, so this is another series that I won't be collecting as much on. But at this point now, with everything else and what I'm currently reading over almost 50 volumes, I decided that once we get the whole series, we'll go ahead and read it and give you a review. This is one that I just have not heard too many people talk about, but the few that do talk about say they really like it. Let's go ahead and move on. Speaking of JoJo's, we got JoJo Bizarre Adventure. This is Stone Ocean part 6. This is number, I believe, 7. I think there's 8 or 9 total, and then we get to the coveted Steel Ball Run that everyone's waiting for. So I have all the rest of JoJo's. I've only read 1, 2, and 3, so shame on me, but I'm just collecting them as we move on here. It is something I want to continue reading. And then we're like, Scott, well, what's next? We got another series I have not started yet. Shame on me, and that's Black Lagoon Volume 13, Does Say Parental Discretion and Advice. I've just heard very many good things about this. I believe this is on a monthly chapter, so that we only get about one a year right now of Black Lagoon. It was on a hiatus for a while, so that's why I didn't want to read it. And then all of a sudden it came back, and then Viz decided to reprint it afterwards. So it was one of those times where I was just getting a bunch of things, and I only had a couple of volumes, and I was waiting for those reprints. So, you know, you're moving on to other series as you're waiting for other volumes to come back in stock. And then we got another series that is once a month on the chapter. So because that we're only getting one a year, and this could be a while, is Asadora. This is volume 8. And with this story by Nakura Sara, one of my favorite authors of all time, who did 20th Century Boys and Pluto. This is his current series right now, and I think he just turned, I want to say 60 or 65, so this might be his last series that he does, but this is volume 8, and we're nowhere close to being finished. I believe people are estimating it's going to be like 18 or 20 volumes total, as you're really getting like 1 year in a snapshot or part of it as this person's growing up. So I'm not going to spoil it here. That's the only bummer with this, is I may be a little hesitant just collecting this, just because by the time the next volume comes out, it's like, oh, what happened before? I got to read and find out, because it's been so long. But I do love the signature editions. I love these French flaps. So, and because he's one of my favorite authors, I'm going to go ahead and continue picking up the series, even though it's once a year. And then we have the last volume of Neighborhood Story. Viz did a great job of the shoujo beat here. This is the prequel to the author did Nana and Paradise Kiss. That's it. This is the prequel to Paradise Kiss. So I thought they did a good job. There's these beautiful French flaps they gave us here for this one. So I need to read it. I was waiting for this last volume just to read it all together, so I do apologize. I've not read this one yet, but it's high on my priority list. I know we hear that all the time. Next is Full Night Volume 3. This was really, really good. This one actually solidified that I really do want to continue reading this series. I thoroughly enjoyed Full Night. This actually this would move now on my top 10 list that came out last year. This volume alone, it just really makes you question just society, your worth, what you pay money to, people who get things for not having to work. And so a lot of good society questions, and what do you do about where, you know, my life doesn't matter much anyways, and I don't have much time to live. What should I do with the last bit of time that I do have? And then this had some really good battle elements here of a person who, in this story here, as you're, instead of dying, you can go ahead and become a plant, because the sun is no more and it's hard to get oxygen. So people become a plant, and that creates oxygen for everybody else. In this one, it has where it's never happened before, where there's a plant on a rampage, and it's going out and it's taking out certain people. So you're following these detectives. They're trying to figure out how could a plant even take out people to begin with, because the plants can't move. And then so you're flowing through this. Very, very good. I think by volume 3 you're going to know if this is for you, if it's not already. This was phenomenal. All right, next is Viz has doing kind of like their own manhwa from Webtoons, and this is I'm the Grim Reaper. This is volume 2. My biggest hang up with this series is it has an MSRP of $18.99, and it's pretty thin. It is all in color, which I do appreciate, having the artwork in color. I'm enjoying this series, even though it is a little more pricey. Is idea with this Grim Reaper going around, and she has to kill at least one person a day, and then there's other Grim Reapers as well. So I thought that was a really interesting thing in this idea. Is most stories we only have one Grim Reaper. Well, what do you do if there's actually multiple Grim Reapers around the world, and what happens if they start fighting each other? So I'm interested. You're following this girl. She doesn't remember her past self, and she is now a Grim Reaper, and she's trying to go out in the world and try to find out who she was and try to recover her past memories. And then, a detective joins her along the way, because why not? So, Grim Reaper. And then we have next is Somax After School Volume 8. There's 14 volumes total in this, so we're slowly getting the series. It's a very, very good slice of life as you're following high school antics and two people who just struggle to be able to sleep, and you're watching them as they develop a relationship with each other, and as they develop their hobbies for photography, for the skyline, radio. I'm really good, and just talking about the purpose of life and what do I do afterwards. So really enjoy Somax After School. Moving on, we have Hiyashasumi. This is volume 3. very, very funny. This is another good slice of life series as you're following the main character who just about turned 30, and his cousin now moved in as she is going to college, and he is just very carefree, easygoing, and just wants the freedom just to enjoy life. And then his cousin, she's working really, really hard, and there's other people around who feel like you have to work hard, and it has to be terrible for you to make it in life. And yet you're the main character. In some ways, he's already made it. He is enjoying the life that he has, and he can enjoy the moment now, even if he doesn't have a whole lot of money. But he's just very laid back, carefree, tons of laugh out loud moments. I've really, really enjoyed the Slice of Life. Probably one of the better ongoing Slice of Life series we have right now. And then we have Trillion Game Volume 2. This solidified the series where I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely not for kids whatsoever. You can barely see the parental discretion advisory, but not for kids. You'll know by the first volume it's not for kids. Second one, even more strong on the adult content, but you're following these two people back here who are, you're seeing their past self, and then sometimes goes back in the future where, you know, how do they become a $1 trillion company, and you see their antics as they're trying to cut as many corners as possible to get there. And this had a really good volume, just the idea of when I want to work with somebody, just the value of, instead of skill, but the value of somebody you enjoy working with, period. And yes, skills can be taught along the way, but it's more important that you have somebody that you actually want to enjoy working with in the first place. And they talk about when it comes to interviewing people, it's really more like a mixer. Is this somebody that I want to, you know, be with? And that's so true. I've done a lot of interviews with my job with other people. And for me, I am looking, is this person going to be a good fit? I can always train different skills. I guess I want them to be competent and have some skills and be smart, but at the same time, I'm more saying, is this someone I would enjoy working with? Is someone I'd want to have lunch with or have a cup of coffee with? And I think that's so important. And so they portray just those little nuggets as well as just a fun, antic story. And then last from Viz Media we picked up is Battle Royale Enforcer. This is volume 2. This is a Battle Royale to the death. This is technically part 3, as I think the second one only had, you know, more like a one-shot. So the Battle Royale, the first one I stopped reading. It was too much for me. So we're moving on to this one, which is more better. It is not as heavy on the adult content, even though there is some unnecessary adult content. What I'm interested in finding out with the series, which I'm surprised Viz Media print, is there's 4 volumes total right now in Japan, and we have volume 2 here. So if we get the 4th by the end of this year, I don't know, is it going to be like a once a year series that we get? How long is it going to take to conclude? Especially with the pacing in this, it's taken a long time. People aren't just immediately being eliminated left and right. Maybe there'll be a long that does happen. So I'm curious to see, I'm a little on the fence. I'm going to keep reading it as I do like that Battle Royale. There's the survival instinct as they're forced to be pit against each other. How are they going to make it out? How many of them will make it out alive? How can they be against this government? So very, very interesting. I want to know, what is it going to take? Would it be better just to wait a while until we have more volumes of the series? I'm just surprised for how I'm surprised we have the series already, just with how much life has not been fully breathed into it. So that is all that we have for ongoing or missing titles from Viz Media. Let's go ahead and move on to one of my favorite publishers, and that is Yen Press, with one of my favorite series that has 16 volumes total, and we just got the 8th volume here, and that is Oshe no Ko Volume 8. I know a lot of people did not like how it ended. I have no idea. Please don't spoil it. But I've thoroughly enjoyed this series, and just the first volume alone just kept me in such a hook of line. You're this main character trying to find out who ended up taking the life of somebody else. And so it also gives you the idea of the backstory of what it's like in the entertainment industry and just being in film and plays, and how people are just what happens behind the stage. So I've really enjoyed this so far. The dialogue, it's been very, very interesting. Oshe no Ko, it's been a ton of fun. I know the anime is good too. And now we have Go 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 Ghost. This is the 2nd volume. Yen Press was kind of sending me the first volume, and I liked it so much I went and ordered the 2nd volume prequeled right away. Pre-ordered. This is about a gal who is on a grunge and on revenge for people who just treat her terribly. And this ghost appears, kind of like a guardian angel that is there to help her along the way. And you deal with the antics of people who are just being mean to her, and now she's able to get back on some of those people. And so very, very funny, entertaining. I think there's only 5 volumes total in this, so I've really enjoyed Go 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 Ghost so far. Next is Emmets in the Shadow. This is volume 11. I did a review of this series. I just really enjoyed it. I actually think this is better than watching the anime itself. Anime is good for more of the battle sequences, but just for the comedy aspect, the panels here do so much better. Definitely not for kids, but I've enjoyed Emmets in Shadow. And then another series that has me gripped right now is Tokyo Babylon. This is volume 5. This is a prequel to X. I will say now I want to read X, even though it will never be completed, because Tokyo Babylon is so good, the prequel. I'm really in. There's some really good villain characters going on. You're fighting a main character who is, you know, exercising ghosts, which is typical in a lot of series, but they've done a really good job. This is an oldie but a goodie. I'm really impressed with what they did for this, and I really do appreciate having these little extra panel here's come out here, and this nice this poster, which we will never take out because we don't lose the value of our collector here, but I'm really enjoying this series so far. Next is a 4-panel series, which I absolutely love, Boshi the Rock. This is volume 5. This says 4 panels, so when you're reading, you're going down this way. So there is a ton of dialogue. This is a slice of life. Reminds me a little bit of Komi Can't Communicate. You have the girl Boshi here, who has so much social anxiety that she just struggles to talk with people. And just the first time she goes on stage, she's an amazing guitar player, and what she does, she puts a box over her so people can't see her, but she gets to play. So I've really enjoyed Boshi the Rock. I'm very, if you're looking for a funny slice of life series, it's great. And now we're moving on to a ton of Eyes Press line for the most part here. I've really enjoyed the Eyes Press line. This is Unholy Blood. This is one of the better vampire series I've ever read. As you're following a girl who is on a revenge as a vampire. Great color paneling. If you like vampire stories, I think you're really going to love that. Next, if you're looking for something that scratches the same itch of like a Solo Leveling or Omniscient Viewer Reader Point, I would recommend The Perks of Being an S-Class Heroine. This is another one that Yen Press / Ice Press sent me the first volume, and I've now picked up the second and third volume, and I love this story. It's just been so fun following this girl who ends up dying, but she got the insurance for an S-Class perk, and she got stuck in a novel that she's read, and now she's changing things in the novel, which is changing the story, and she doesn't know she's going to survive, which I know is typical for a lot of these series, but I've really enjoyed it. Next I have is What's Wrong with Secretary Kim, Volume 6. This is the last volume of the series. Oh, doesn't she look so beautiful there, Miss Kim? So pretty. I've really enjoyed this series. You're following this girl who I believe she's about to turn 30, and she's decided to no longer be this person's secretary, as she just is ready to just get on with her life. And then all of a sudden he's seeing the value in her. She's like, she can't leave me. She needs me. So he's very egotistic, and he's trying to now win her over. He ends up wanting to be with her more than just now a secretary, and she's just not having anything of it, and you get to see that romance just go ahead and blossom. So if you're looking for a romantic drama comedy series, rom-com, I've really enjoyed this. I thoroughly am glad I've read all 6 volumes. This was a great story. Speaking of solo leveling, we also got Solo Leveling. This is volume 10. If the anime I know is becoming very popular, I've not watched the anime, but I've really enjoyed Solo Leveling. I know we're getting closer to conclusion. I want to say it's like 14 or 15 volumes total, so very good. I feel like I've talked about it so much, so we won't continue that. But one of my favorite series of all time, this is probably would be in my top 20. This is Why Raylena Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion. Believe there's only one more volume total in this. This is volume 8, is just wrapping up its conclusion. But this is kind of like S Perk. This girl ends up dying and waking up in a novel she's read, and in the novel she read, she is one of the side characters. And she realized in the story the side character dies, and she wasn't going to have that happen. So she changes things so that she doesn't die, and then all of a sudden the main character shows up, and there's all these antics and trying to survival here. What's going on with the main character now? What's going on with Raylena? How does she survive? And now the story is changing as she has changed the plotline herself, not intentionally, but just trying to live. Really good. I love Raylena. I can't wait to see its conclusion. And then we have here The World After the Fall. I've really enjoyed this series. Man, some of the best artwork. Just look at that in the back. Wow. I really love how the colors pop here. The story starts off with a tower appears in front of the world, and then people go on the tower, and then they go up in it, and then he is the first person to get to the top of the tower, and then all these crazy things happen afterwards. Really great series, fast read, tons of great action, interesting lore and storytelling. I never know what I'm going to get with the world after the fall, but I do enjoy it. And then last from Yen Press / Ice Press line we have is The Villainous Turns the Hourglass. Really have enjoyed this series. Well, I'm saying that for every series I enjoy, but this one was better than I thought. This has to deal with a girl who at the very beginning, she ends up getting, right before she's about to get killed for being a villain, her little younger sister comes to her and reveals to her that actually I'm the true villain. I pushed you to be villain and I won. So as she dies, she wakes up into the past, now many years beforehand, and she is now trying to be the villain behind the villain, as she's trying to move things around from counter moves to not allow her sister to one-up her, and now to make her sister be the one that gets all the blame, even though her sister is more of a villain than she is. And so you get to question in society is like, what if I'm not really a villain? I just got pushed into that situation. How much does it take to push someone to get them to go the right way or the wrong way? So, all right, now let's go on to ongoing or missing titles I got from Kodansha. The first one is Eden Zero Volume 30. This series is complete in Japan. I'm just waiting for the whole thing to be able to finish the series. This is a sci-fi series, so this is from the same author that gave us Rave Master and Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail over 70 volumes and now the 100-year quest. I decided that's too much for me. Rave Master, out of print, incredibly hard to find. I have almost the whole series, but I'm missing volumes 28 and then 30 through 35. If you have any of those volumes, you'd like to send them over, more power to you. I'd love to read them. So I'm going ahead and finish this. Once I get all of them, I'll go and read this series and tell you what I think. And then we got the last volume of Noragami, volume 27, which is the final volume, is a little more thick, which I do appreciate. Now, if I were going to collect this series now, I'd go ahead and get the omnibus, which is a larger format, kind of like they did with Fire Force. Unfortunately, I just had most of the series already, and I got it from a great sale that I just did not want to go ahead and sell them and then go get the omnibuses. So because of that, I got the singles. This one took a long time. This is almost available for pre-order for almost a year, but I need to finish the series. I started reading it, I enjoyed it so much. I went and picked it up, but I have not finished the series. So shame on me. Because I have 27, we need to read that and do a review, which is nice as we're not collecting that series anymore. And then I got Welcome to Demon School. So Rumikun, man, this is another funny series as you're following a human who his parents sold him to a demon, and that demon actually loves him and is very kind and wants to treat him like his grandson. And then he is now going to school trying to survive and not let people know that he is a demon. This is volume 11. That is very, very funny. Laugh out loud. What's scary is I think they're on volume 40 in Japan, so it's going to be a long time. It's going to take a lot of shelf space, but I'm really enjoying it so far, and it's still just as good as that first volume. Next we picked up is To Your Eternity. This is volume 21. Now, I have not continued the series, shame on me. The first half of the series I absolutely loved, as you're following this main character who's just trying to discover the world and what the world is like, and then when people pass on, he's able to kind of copy their abilities in that person, and he's trying to live on. Really, really good. A lot of heart moments and wrench. Shame on me. I need to pick it up. From the same author that gave us A Silent Voice. Even as I'm looking at some of these characters here, it just gives me a bunch of feels. So it's one I definitely need to go back and finish reading. And then Grand Blue Dreaming Volume 20. It felt like it's been over a year since we got a volume, and yet we have another one now coming in February, which I'll be pre-ordering. This is one I've laughed out loud and I've cringed. I did a review video for it. There's times where it is very, very funny. There's other times that there's things in this that are very cringing and things that are completely not appropriate and okay. And my problem is sometimes when people read things is sometimes they can struggle with what's reality and what's okay versus what's not. And I think sometimes they cross the line with this series. Not sometimes, I think they do cross the line. So very funny. If you're looking for a laugh out loud, belly laughing, Grand Blue Dreaming. I also like the antics. They say it's part of a diving manga. It actually wants me. I would love to learn how to do diving now, thanks to Grand Blue Dreaming. And then next there's one more volume going to be of this, and then we're done. This is Shikumi Project. And this is actually a French manga. So the main character, we're in the future, like 200 years in the future, and he's been put into Japan. He's trying to find this special Shikumi project. Now, he's trying to survive. There's a ton of radiation. There's now different creatures. As you see here, this person is like a half person, half bird. A very, very interesting story. I want to read the last one to give my final thoughts. A very quick read as well, most of them, but we're getting more and more dialogue as the volumes came out. So I've enjoyed so far. For one more volume, I'm going to go ahead and finish. One of my favorite series that come out the past year, this is The Fable. Now, this is definitely not for kids whatsoever, especially when you get to the third and fourth volume. This was completely sealed, which I'm like, oh my, but very, very funny as you're following this hitman who is supposed to take a sabbatical, a 1-year break, and just trying to live a normal life. And you're following him and this other girl that's with him, and it's just very, very funny just seeing how he thinks in his life. He's not trying to assassinate people, but then of course he gets in a situation where he's getting pulled back in. Really, really good, really great, just definitely not for kids. And then I'm really glad that Kodansha gave this. This is Initial D. This is the next 2-in-1, so we're at volume 8. I'm really enjoying this racing series, and this one has me at the edge of my seat, and I cannot wait to find out what happens next. And being an adult, I really do appreciate in this one seeing just the side of his dad, and the things that his dad talks about in this, I just really resonated. So the author did a really good job thinking through that son-father perspective, which I think a lot of people may miss, especially if you're reading this as a teenager. You might be like, man, his parents are terrible. But being a parent myself, I see through his lens, and I thought the author did a really good job with that. I'm really enjoying this racing series. And then last is one of my favorite series. This will be in my top 10 of all time. The anime is coming out right now. Highly recommend checking it out if you're not going to get the manga. But that is The Medalist. This is about ice skating, which I didn't know anything about, but forget the ice skating. This has tons of just life moments and nuggets, and just pushes you to be a better person of yourself, to be able to continue to grow. When other people say that you're not good, that you'll never make it, it's too late. Why are you even trying? This is a story you need to read for encouragement. This is going to help you want to get back up and chase your dreams and not give up. I love, love, love The Medalist. Okay, now let's move on to ongoing or missing titles that I got from smaller publishers. And the first is from Inklore, and that is My Love Story with Yamaka-kun at level 999. This is a rom-com comedy series as you're following this girl who has a boyfriend. She plays this online game with him, and then he breaks up with her. So because of that, she ends up finding this other boy from the game, and then they're kind of a thing, kind of not, and they're growing, developing feelings for each other, and it's just a funny comedy series. It's college antics as she's in college. Actually, I think he's about to be out of. This guy is I think he's in high school right now, but about to be out. But really enjoyed this. If you played RPGs or MMO games, you can relate to some of the antics with the video game side and the romantic side. Really good, just video game romantic comedy. And then from 7 Seas, Kimono Gen. This is volume 14. I've really enjoyed the series. The arc they're on right now is just really strong. I did not like the first couple of volumes of it, but then I got sucked in. So if you're looking for a series that's a little different, at first it felt like it was more of just a weekly, things just constantly change, which I did not like. I wanted a strong arc, and they did that here. But it's a typical, battle shonen type of story. And then we have volume 10 of Candy and Cigarettes. I'm just waiting for the last volume, which is volume 11, and then this will be complete, and we can read this Assassin series. It's also from 7 Seas. And then we got the last volume from Dark Horse of Innocent. This is a series about the Samson executioner family, the royal executioner, and this takes place before the French Revolution. There are 3 of these omnibuses total for the prequel series, and then there is another series called Innocent Rogue, which takes place during the French Revolution itself. This one ended on a strong cliffhanger. I really enjoyed it. Definitely not for kids whatsoever. As you see the parental question advisor here, really gives a lot of good, interesting stuff on the history of what was happening during that time. Really good artwork, but again, not for kids whatsoever. And I asked Dark Horse, I said, hey, you left us on a cliffhanger. Would you be open to thinking about, going ahead and giving us a sequel? And then they tweeted back on Twitter, stay tuned. If there's something I don't know, which is more of a confirmation than not, I will take it. So thank you, Dark Horse. I really hope you announce soon that you'll be publishing the sequel, because this was just really, really good. Again, not for kids. And then I got Tokyo Revengers, a letter from Kashibashi. This takes place right before the main events from Tokyo Revengers. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I think there's 6 volumes total in this. I just enjoy more Tokyo Revengers, so I thought this was pretty good. And then speaking of Tokyo Revengers, we also got Tokyo Revengers 25 and 26. We're almost at the conclusion. I think there's 31 volumes total in this series. I'm still enjoying this series, as I know a lot of people just absolutely hated the ending. Thank you for not telling me, and I'm still coming to this. I do see where a couple before this, it probably could have wrapped up really nice, but they continued the series. I'm really still enjoying this, so I'm going to keep reading it. The idea of this time travel and trying to save the love of your life, and every time you come back to that person keeps dying. Really, really good. I really enjoy the series. Not for kids, but they've done such a good job. This is in my top 20 of all time so far. We'll see after volume 31 what I'll really feel, but I will say the journey so far has been beautiful. And last, this is from Dark Horse, and this is the Trigun Maximum 3 Deluxe Edition. I've really enjoyed this just because Trigun was one of my favorite anime growing up. And what's neat now is actually seeing how much this diverges off of the actual manga itself, as the anime finished before we even really got very far in the manga. So I'm thoroughly enjoying seeing how things go in their different ways. So if you like Trigun, I think this is going to be up your alley. They did a great job with this deluxe edition. I did even a review of the deluxe edition you can go ahead and check out. If you click that eye below, or sorry, eye above, you can see my thoughts on Trigun. Let's go ahead and now move on to what you've been waiting for. This is the new stuff. Scott, just get to the new stuff. We got new stuff for you. I only got 2 new things. This is from Yen Press, and this is the SS Class Revival Hunter. I wish Yen Press sent this to me. It's volume 1, but they didn't for that month, but that's okay. I picked it up anyways, and I really, really enjoyed this volume. This scratches the same itch of soul leveling and perks of an S-Class heroine and omission viewpoint. This is about a main character here who ends up, a tower appeared, oh my, like right after the fall. And people can go into the tower, and people have different perks, some people don't. And then this main character, he ends up being killed in the very beginning, and then he ends up waking up with this ability. He ends up going to the past before the tower started, and he's trying to change things, friend people that are famous in the future, and also take out some villains and bad people, and then justify his reasoning because he knows in the future they're not good people. So I'm interested in the twists and turns. If you like solo leveling, you like Mr. Viewpoint, this is gonna scratch that same itch, and you're gonna love this one as well. Oh, so good. I cannot wait for a second volume, which also comes out this coming month. Last, what is it, Scott? We got from Kodansha Thunder 3. It is a quick read, I will say. It is a comic series. It is hilarious. If you're looking for a story that's not going to be something like you've read before, this is that series for you. Again, it is a fast read, but you're following these 3 boys here who ends up going into a different world. And to them, they're in the normal world, and then they go into, which is like the human world, and everyone sees them as anime characters. And what's neat is it's like they have these special powers. When they jump super high. When they punch the ground, it starts breaking apart. So here in this world too, there are aliens roaming around, and then they're now fighting those aliens, even though the humans and aliens get along. I'm curious to see what happens here, and they're going ahead, and these 3 boys, they're trying to save one of them, their sister, who was captured by the aliens, and they're just going these antics. So really funny, really enjoyable. Definitely not what I thought it was going to be whatsoever, especially when you go to, you know, this cutesy type of artwork here. And then we go into moving on to some really hardcore artwork, as you see over here. We have hardcore artwork, so we have the people looking normal, and then we have our lovely characters here who I guess do look like they're in an anime. So really good seeing them go along. I thoroughly enjoyed. I was surprised just how good this series was. So I'm excited for Thunder. I think it's wrapping up in Japan, so I'm pretty sure we'll get this pretty fast. Kodansha is very good at sending us things pretty fast. So Thunder 3, very, very enjoyable. That is everything I picked up for this past month. Again, I'd love in the comments below, what did you pick up this past month? What are you reading? Hey, what's something I should be reading? What's something I should have picked up? And if you haven't seen already, I'm now doing a video series just to highlight what are the things I'm looking to potentially pick up for that past month. So you'll see right now we have a video talking about what's coming in this January. I'd love to know your thoughts on checking out that video. Hey, thank you so much for being part of this community. We will see you on the next one.